Hey everyone, I want to talk about a topic that I've been asked to speak about a lot in my recent one-to-ones in the WhatsApp group and webinars, and that's some of the common myths surrounding acceptance, unconditional self-acceptance, why it's so hard to develop acceptance, why we do so many subtle behaviors for the fear of being rejected by ourselves, self-rejection, which was a big one I had, other rejection, societal rejection, rejection from friends and family members, and everything else in between. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Thank you again to the new year. Lots of great content to come. Lots of great things to come from OCD recovery. Lots of webinars, lots of new things going to come out in the works that we're talking about. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I'll let you know more about that conference that we will hopefully do this year. It will be a lot of fun. So, and that direct message for Phil right away, which has been such a great feature. People love that. And just always remember, you can comment on the videos and things you want to see me cover. I always have lists near me of like stuff I have to do or, you know, different YouTube topics, and I add to it. It's good to take advice. If it's too specific, it's hard, like a very specific sensory motor, I'll have to cover that in a broad video. And then let's jump right into it. So, the most common myth that there is in acceptance is that, number one, you don't care. Okay, so this is the number one myth with unconditional acceptance. So you have to be very careful when you hear people say, I don't give a fuck, or I don't give a shit. Usually those people care the most. Unconditional self-life, other acceptance, but this is specifically about unconditional self-acceptance, this piece with rejection, has nothing to do with not caring. That's not a reality of the human condition. It's about caring in a balanced, stoic, philosophical approach. So let's say my wife came home tomorrow and rejected me and was like, I'm not attracted to you anymore, and I've been sleeping with someone behind your back. The chances of me going, most people, because they want to be abrasive and seem to overarch the other person and their potential, with their own fears. When people say about like ego, people are egotistical. The ego is just the surface level of fear for most cases. So if someone's acting egotistical, you go, that person's got a really bad ego. What they actually have is a fear of rejection, and then the ego is kind of the symptom of that. So they go, well, you know what? Screw you. I don't need you. I don't care. Cheat on me. Well, that's not true, because then that person goes into the room and cries, which is a natural human response. So you do care. It's just the balance of the caring, because you understand that people can do what they want, and people do what they want. Yes, we have legalities and laws to put people in prison, but people are going to do what they want no matter what. And the only way they're going to stop themselves from doing that is if the person doesn't want to do that. That's the reality of life. I like to live in line with the realities of life, which is synonymous with unconditional self-life, other acceptance, and other philosophical principles. So that's myth number one, that you don't care. Number two, and this goes directly into it, is that when you get to a deeper state of unconditional self-life, other acceptance, it is a fairy tale. So people go, well, you must not have any problems. That's not true. I own a business. I do all the coaching. I spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week working with OCD on top of my business. I'm married. I go hiking. I go to the gym for 2 hours a day. I do all sorts of stuff. I got dogs that are pissing all over the place, when we're going on hikes, and then pulling me and then ripping up toys and waking me up in the middle of the night. I have a lot of problems. But I handle those problems as best as I can with grace. And when I don't handle them well, because I'm a human, I try and learn from those. And that's what's most important. So it has nothing to do with being a fairy tale. See, this is the biggest problem with the thoughts approach and that fairy tale blissful way that people explain it. And when people use that, it's okay, everyone loves you. That's not how reality is. If you go work on Wall Street, they're going to kick you down mentally and maybe even physically. Because that's how we roll in New York. You know what I fucking mean? So it's funny, because that's the reality. Try to cross the street when the drivers have a green light in Brooklyn and see what happens. They gonna hit you. So it's important to realize that life is not a fairy tale, and people who are coddling you and talking to you like that are doing yourself a disservice. I always ask myself, when I'm looking at someone speak, are they strictly speaking from academia, which is not something I really care about too much anymore? Practical experience means more. It's not that it doesn't matter. Do they look like someone that can handle hardship? This is a very weird analogy, but if I was in a fight, which I don't condone fighting, but let's say I was in a fight, are they actually going to back me up? Are they going to watch my back at a war zone? This is all theoretical. I've never been in war. I can only imagine how scared shitless I would be. But do they have a better chance of that? And a lot of the people in mental health, the answer is probably no, and they probably would run with their tail tucked behind their back. Because it's scary to be shot at and potentially be killed. I might do the same thing. But I use that as a gauge. I also use it in business. Would this person be able to handle complex problems? I could think of about 5 or 6 of the main people in mental health right now, and the answer is definitely not. So that's definitely an important thing. Hardship, how they handle hardship, okay? It was a little bit abrasive, but it's important to cover that because a lot of people are coming in from a lot of these organizations and they're saying what we're thinking. So myth number 1, you don't care. It's not what it is. Fairy tale. The other thing about acceptance, this is a simple one, is that it's easy. So right now there's a lot of people developing anxiety courses, and I see it all the time. Oh, this is my new anxiety course. They have a really good camera setting, millions of videos, and they got really good tripods and white pieces of paper. These people have maybe started out in other businesses. Maybe they own businesses where they build businesses. That has nothing to do with mental health. And now they're starting anxiety workshops. And I watch their stuff, and it is bad. It is bad. And when I'm watching the people who are doing this, and again, I'm talking about myself, all the anabolic steroids I used, all the fake tanning I did, all those conditional control mechanisms. You look at the people, there's a lot of Botox, a lot of surgery, a lot of fake tanning, a lot of stuff like that. It's not that you can't develop acceptance using that stuff. It's just very difficult. So it's very easy to tell who actually is practicing unconditional acceptance and who isn't. Because it's much harder than just saying, I don't care. Oh, you can get there easily and stuff like that. It is damn hard to develop unconditional acceptance. It takes years and years. I've been working on this for 5 years, 4 years, and I would say just not that long ago, my unconditional acceptance has been strong. What do I mean by that? I could not go to the gym for a year, and I wouldn't like it, but I would adapt easily, develop it. I could get fat. I could get ugly. I could shave my head. I could get all burns on my face. I would figure out a way to accept myself. Would I be initially maybe panicked in the beginning? Probably, but I have a great trust in my unconditional acceptance. But it took me years of practicing that, cutting down small compulsions, everything. Okay. The other myth is that, you read one thing equals you're good. Okay, so this is a big one, right? You read the book one time, you go on your way, you're absolutely fine. Not the way it's going to work. You're probably going to have to read the first book on the reading list. It's always on my desk. Stubbornly refuse. You'll probably have to read this more than once. You'll have to really take it seriously. Like, you don't have to go crazy with all the notes, but, if you're there's nothing marked in it, probably not the best thing. On top of that, you're probably going to have to read The Myth of Self-Esteem, especially chapter 4, maybe 4 or 5 times over a multi-year period, and you're going to want to take a multi-year horizon. If anyone is telling you you can recover in 6 months, absolutely. If anyone's telling you it's going to be easy, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of procrastination that you're going to have to break down, a lot of behaviors you're going to have to change. It's going to be quite difficult, but it's worthwhile. Let's see another myth around acceptance. Well, the biggest one, actually, is that acceptance means agreement. So what do I mean by that? So as a society, because of our probably innate biological tribalism type mentality, most people are operating off acceptance means agreement. So a great example of that would be, we'll use very basic. I'm Catholic, you're Christian, I can't accept you. I'm Muslim, you're Christian, I can't accept you. I'm a Yankees fan, you're a Boston fan, I can't accept you. I'm a Republican, you're a Democrat, I can't accept you. Oh, you're not a Democrat anymore, you're now a Republican, I can accept you. I ask this question a lot. Again, there's no right or wrong here. I ask religious people on a daily basis, would you marry an atheist? Absolutely not. Our values are too different. But what if they treat you well? What if there's no domestic violence? What if there's no stealing? What if they're good with spending money? No, those are my values. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But listen to the rigidity in how you're holding it. You're telling me that I can't hold my values. You're stepping on me, on my values. It's a very, very childish response. You don't have to agree. When people tell me they don't agree with me all the time. You don't see me upset about it, yelling and screaming. Maybe I do in the dark. But no, I used to get much more upset. So it takes me a long time. Acceptance doesn't mean agreement. You try your best to accept humans regardless of the action. Because I'm going to use a very tough example. And one that I have no backing with. But I hold this same type. I don't hold any animosity against my OCD. This is weird. I don't hate it. I have Totally neutral. I'm actually thankful for my suffering and the lesson I learned. Not lessons I learned, not the disorder itself. There's no benefits to having OCD. It's just the principles you learn. Let's say someone murders Erica. Again, this is all theoretical because people just, oh, well, you don't know that. So let's say someone murders Erica. Who knows how the fuck I would handle that. But let's say I would have the wits about me to try and accept that person and hope they get the help they needed while mourning and being in grievance of Erica's loss would probably be the best thing for me. Probably for myself and the family. Now, with Erica's family, imagine if I said that I accepted the killer of their daughter. They might disown me. They probably would. That's a sad reality of the life that we live in. I'll give you a good example. Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, killed probably 70 women that they know of. He did 54 in court, I think he was guilty to. One of the guys stood up, very religious, older man, and said, you know, God wants me to forgive you. This is why a strong sense of purpose can be a leading light in people's perspectives and beliefs and behaviors. And he goes, God wanted me to forgive you, and then I'm going to. Because I know if I don't forgive you, this is going to eat me. The comments were exactly like you'd imagine. What a disgrace to the other victims. Horrible human piece of shit. Blah, blah, blah. This is just some old guy accepting him because he knew that he would be torturing himself for eternity. And I've seen this. It's so sad. I see it with people with OCD every day. There's no way I could accept I have OCD. Then you're not going to recover, my friend. You're going to be stuck forever. So you got a couple choices here. You can accept OCD and the hardships and the learning lessons that could come, or you can hate it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me do a recap. Acceptance is not caring, no matter how many best-selling books, we all know the ones I'm talking about, say so, and those are good books. There's some great principles in that books. But it's a misunderstanding of what acceptance is. It's not fairy tale. I have plenty of problems in my life. You know, everything will think of me going well, and Daisy will like tear ACL, and I'm like, oh, that vet bill is not going to be cheap. You know, so things go wrong all the time. It ain't easy. Anyone who talks about unconditional acceptance being easy, it ain't. It's taken me years to get here. And it's always a journey, forever. Read one thing, you're good. Nope, that's not how it works. And acceptance means agreement. That's not how it operates. And remember, look at the people who are talking about acceptance. We're not trying to put anyone down. People give me this all the time. You're putting them down. I'm just trying to lead you in the correct direction of what we know, what works, because we've been to the bottom. Listen, if there is a hell, we've all been there. As close as you can get. There are not many living creatures on this planet who have endured as much suffering as a chronic OCD sufferer. It's just a reality. I'm grateful for it. I enjoy learning lessons from the mental hospital. I have learned so much about hardship by waking up and having panic all day, every day for years. DPDR, themes coming in and out, driving them, they're going to hit me head on. They're going to hit me head on. POCD spikes that would happen even though it wasn't a primary fear. Harm things, be in the kitchen, Eric would bump into me, I have a knife in my hand and have an image of me stabbing her in the neck. All sorts of stuff. My sensory motor, body dysmorphia. I am grateful for everything. I hold no animosity against my OCD because I realized if I did, it would not get me better. So thank you again. Great stuff to come. Please comment down below on the stuff you want to see me cover in the future. Thank you so much for the support. I hope our stuff has been very beneficial. And even when I talk about, like, look, I have the utmost compassion and sympathy for people who don't understand this. If you would have came to me 8 years ago, 6 years ago, I was a very, very rigid, black and white, irrational person, but I probably thought I was rational. I probably thought I was, but I wasn't. I was acting completely in crazy behavioral manners. So thank you to Rob and everyone else who have shown me the way and the practice I had to put in myself. Have a good one, everyone.